Before we do anything else, we're going to press save on our document in order to save it. And I'm saving it in architecture. I should actually save it in Gear Systems, which is a folder I've created or a project I've created. And I'm going to call it Simple System. And my Simple System is going to be Simple System version 5 because I've created so many of these. And I'm going to hit save. So my Simple System version 5 is what I'm going to be using in order to create my document. The first step we're going to do is to create the gears, and they are using a special tool. In the tools menu here, you've got these add-ins possible here, and you've got scripts and add-ins. Once you choose that, you can go down and choose Spur Gear. I like to use the little yellow and blue logo as opposed to that one. That's just what I choose, and I'm going to hit run. You'll get over here this Spur Gear dialog box that comes up, and basically I'm going to change or make a few changes. The first thing I'm going to do is press on 2. I'm going to use module 2. This sets the size of the gear. 12 point whatever it was is going to be too big. You'll notice it gets down here, the root fillet radius is too large. It must be less than 1.18. So let's make it 1.1, which is less than 1.18. My gear thickness is going to be 6 millimeters. I can't change this. The material we're going to use for our gears will be 6 millimeter plywood, initially at least anyway. The hole diameter, I'm basically going to set the hole diameter to be just a small hole of 1 millimeter. You can see that this is going to be a 48 millimeter size of gear, and it's going to have 24 teeth. So if I press OK now, you see that it whacks the gear down sideways on the plane like so. I'm going to press M to move my gear now, so move copy. You can also go up to back to solid and go modify and choose move. And I'm going to basically make it so that my icon is in the middle. You notice I'm moving object bodies. Let's change that to components because this is a component here and I want to move the whole thing. So now if I click on this, and I'm going to grab this particular handle here and move it through 90 degrees. I'm going to press enter. I'm now going to create my second gear, going back to tools, going back to add-ins, going back to scripts, Spur Gear, and hit run. You notice that it's actually kept those parameters of module 2 and root fillet radius, which is great. I'm just going to change the teeth now down to 12, which is half of 24, which means I'm going to get a 2:1 ratio. I'm going to press on OK now, and you'll see that that gear is now sitting there sideways. Let's turn the Spur Gear off for the moment so I don't select anything. I'm going to go back to solid. I'm going to go button modify, move copy, making sure it's on components. I'm going to move it by the same point in the middle. I'm going to rotate it around 90 degrees. I'm going to press enter. I'm going to press move copy again, or M to move copy again, and I'm going to select the same component again, making sure that I've got it in the 90 degree pose, not any other rotation. I'm going to basically move to the right here, and now I'm going to turn my other Spur Gear back on. I'm going to zoom up, and you'll notice it's got this extra sketch around here. I need to move it over so that that sketch and that sketch are touching. In this case, it's going to be 36 millimeters. And I'm going to rotate it a bit until I get the right rotation on this one so that they're actually lined up, so that it actually looks right as well. That's not totally necessary, but it's a good idea to do that. I'm going to now press OK. And I now have my gears in the correct rotation, sitting upright so that when I press the home button, they're going to line up nicely like that. And you'll see that I've got two components here, one called Spur Gear 22 teeth and one called Spur Gear 12 teeth. Notice that these are components, and we haven't really looked at components before, but components are basically their own set object with their own basic properties and bodies and sketches and that sort of thing built into them, which does give you extra power, but we'll basically ignore that idea for this tutorial because we don't really need to understand how components work in order to build this.